Hi everybody, how are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. My apologies, I look a hot mess because I just woke up a little bit ago. And so I slapped on some eyeliner, didn't brush my hair, and stayed in my pajamas. Now you are probably watching this in the future because this is spring break for me, and this is going to be my first, or is planning to be my first or second video of my planned hiatus from The Secrets of Kings. I was thinking that because my whole reason for doing this channel and experimenting with The Secrets of Kings is largely because I have an academic interest in YouTube as a space for writers to sort of come and share their work, I thought it would be really important for me to sort of somehow document how this process is going for me. Not only sort of the logistical piece of actually writing the story, kind of get how I'm feeling throughout this process, and kind of talking a bit about maybe problems or questions that I have regarding the process, particularly as it relates to my academic interest in the platform. So I thought right now I'd talk a little bit about how I'm feeling coming out of essentially the first week of this process. I'm actually recording this the Saturday before the Sunday, so the day before the second episode is coming out. So I've only had one episode out, and the response has been, you know, I mean, it's not like it went viral or anything, but for me, it was really exciting. I think I have like, I don't know, 45-ish or something like that views on it right now, which to me is wonderful. Like that's like nothing in the terms of YouTube, and who knows what it will be at now. It might still be at that. But that's a pretty good response, I think, and I hope people will stick with it. So that excites me though, because you know, I've had this interest in storytelling since I was young, as I indicated in a couple of my older videos, and this sort of project to me is this sort of perfect marriage of my academic interests and my sort of passion, which is writing. And I don't necessarily know that I'm good at writing creatively. I just know I love to do it, but I'm never going to know if I'm good either if I never put things out there. And I thought this was sort of a cool and unique-ish way to do that. I'm not saying that no one's doing this on YouTube. I'm not sure if they are. In fact, if you know of anyone else that's doing this on YouTube, or something very similar to this, let me know down below. I'm really interested in those who sort of see themselves as more like novelistic or literature writers, rather than filmmakers, although I am interested in sort of original series kinds of stuff. Now, when I say this, I mean this sort of generally. Like, I'm really interested in Colleen Bollinger and her Miranda Sings videos, because it's sort of like a independent television show on the internet thing, and so that channel of hers is really interested. And I'm also interested in like just characters that are sort of intermixed with people's channels, kind of like Boogie2998's Francis, right? So every once in a while he'll just have a Francis video where it's like, you know, fiction, but like interspersed on the channel. It's that's interesting to me too in terms of storytelling. So if you know of characters like that, let me know down below too. I know some of them, but I'm sure that there are like tons out there that I don't. So, so you internet folk probably have the info on that. So let me know. Now, to continue on how I'm feeling about this process, I'm also really nervous about it, because, you know, obviously when you put something out there that you consider like a creative work of yours or something like that, it sort of becomes the public's now, where they can comment and judge it and critique it. And I mean, I'm totally fine with constructive criticism, but I know that there are going to be like probably trolls out there. I don't know. And so that worries me a little bit, but I don't know. It's just like, again, it's all part of this experiment. So we'll just see how that goes. And then there's, you know, the sort of thought process in my head, like, well, what if nobody likes it? Like, is it going to make me lose my passion for writing? Or I don't know. It probably won't. I'm just going to have to strive to get better at it if people don't like it. And, you know, that's just sort of part of this, right? Another of my sort of concerns is I keep thinking, what if I write myself into a corner? Because although I have a lot of the sort of timeline of this planned out, sometimes when you start writing, your timeline stuff gets sort of, you have to change it around because you think of other things to add while you're doing that. I don't know. At least that's how my creative process works. That might be completely different for other people. But to know that I'm sort of putting stuff out there in a way that I can't amend is very nerve-wracking, right? Because I'm writing this and it's not complete, as I've said before. Like, that's why I'm taking this hiatus. So I'm making this video right now for the hiatus, is so that way I can work on creating more content for the next, set of, chapters or episodes or whatever, which we're going to talk about my terminology in a moment. Part of the reason I'm having a hiatus is so that way I have time to continue to write and edit the things that I do have written, to sort of perfect them enough that I'm comfortable putting them out there. Part of the writing process, at least for me, and I suspect for many, is sort of letting it go and getting into that public space, because even when you have a book that you think is complete or whatever, as a writer, we never really feel like it's completely edited and complete and perfect. I think most writers, they always go back to it and are like, oh, why did I put that out there? There's this, that, and the other that I could have fixed about it. And I feel that very frequently. And that's compounded upon the fact that, again, I'm releasing pieces of an unfinished product. So that just sort of compounds that, that sort of fear for me. I also fear about getting writer's block. Like I say, I have this pretty well planned, but things can always go wrong. So again, that's just a concern. I'm also really fearing that I will lose interest in it. I don't think I will. I love to write, and this is one of the stories that I've written that I've been very passionate about, and I've written quite a bit of it already. And so, I'm thinking it's going to be okay, but it's just a fear, I am a creative person, and there are certain things that I love and I stick with, and there are some things that I'm I get passionate about it, but then I find it's not, whatever. So I lose my passion for things sometimes, and it's, I think that is something that many of my fellow creatives probably share with me is, you can be very passionate about something, but I think I can lose passion about certain projects pretty quickly too. So that's a little nerve-wracking. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just a fear. One of the reasons I'm doing this project is for the academic side, which I've said before. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to document some questions that I've had throughout this process, or problems that I've run into, for that end of it, so that I can look back at this and, continue to think upon questions or problems throughout the process. So one of the problems that I've been having with this is this question of vocabulary. Because when you study something, you really need to be able to describe or break down sort of the pieces of something and know what to call them, right? And so just what do I call this thing that I'm putting out there? Is it a series? Is it a show? Is it a novel? Because it's on video and I'm reading it to you. So it's sort of this weird amalgamation of book / audiobook / film series / I don't know. I'm essentially reading to you, but also adding some video / audio components to it. I don't know. So what do you think? I don't know. Comment down below. What do you think this is called? Because I still, at this point in week 2-ish, am unsure. So that's an interesting question. And sort of going along with that, what do I call these, each individual unit of this? If I call it a novel, if I call it a series or whatever, then I need to cut that down. So each individual piece of it, is that an episode? Is it a chapter? I've called them installments. I'm unsure what is the proper terminology at this point? And I think it's an interesting question because it is this sort of amalgamation of things. And so if I use one word, am I favoring one sort of piece of it more than the other? Is it true to sort of this this back and forth where I'm putting it out there and the audience can respond to it sort of deal? Because it's not just auditory, and it's not visual because I'm reading it to you, but it is sort of visual because you can see me reading it to you. Is this sort of just a variation on the oral storytelling then, even though I'm reading it to you rather than just recounting it? I don't know. It's like a really interesting sort of academic-y kind of question, and I am curious what you all think about this, because I know that's it seems like such a super benign question, but I don't know, I'm not convinced that it is benign. I think it's an interesting question, especially if we look at YouTube as a sort of platform and seeing all the different things that it's used for, and like what I specifically am using it for, like what are these things, you know? Because if I take what I'm sort of thinking about on my level, where I'm releasing a book, I'm interested also in these sort of other people on the platform who are not even working in books, that are working in things like kind of their own reality television series, sort of like their daily vlogging thing. And then there's like this, there's like people like Miranda Sings, Colleen Bollinger's character, who basically are like an independent narrative fictional television series again, but it's fictional and it's interesting, but it's not like television like we think about television usually, but that's essentially what it kind of is. And so trying to redefine and see what those parameters are and see if we need new sort of vocabulary to talk about these things is certainly something I'm interested in. Again, I hope this doesn't sound like super rambly and weird, but again, my academic-y head is like swirling with questions, and maybe they're not good questions, but they're questions that I have. So I'm throwing them out there. If you guys want to discuss, I'd love to interact with as many of you as I can down below. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me know what you think. What are these called? And what are the pieces of what this is? What are those called? I don't know. I will be back next week with more content. And I hope you enjoy the content that I'm putting out here in this hiatus. And just know that I'm sure that wherever I am in the future, because again, this is spring break for me, even though it's coming out on the hiatus, hopefully I'm being productive and writing and editing. I'm sure I will be, I hope.